Alright, hopefully this is in focus. I've been fucking around with this thing for like 20 minutes, so close enough. Welcome back. Alright, so welcome back. This is probably going to be a hybrid of me talking nonsense on a vertically oriented phone video that I made in my car at 4 o'clock in the morning driving to work the other day, and this, and maybe this other one that I took when I was waking up from a nap, so bear with me. I'm still relatively new at this thing, so there's a couple things I want to cover with this. So this is primarily going to be about building up numbers on a Facebook page. I want to cover the way that I've done it. I want to cover what I think is the right way, and I want to cover what I think is the wrong way. Disclaimer, I've mostly done it the wrong way. So I guess if there are any takeaways from this, it's maybe don't do it the way that I've done it, and I will explain why. But let's cover some reasons why dealing with Facebook and knowing how to use its tools is important. For one, it's still, by a wide margin, the most widely used social media platform. Well over 1 billion users worldwide, and they collect enough data that people voluntarily give them to have very detailed profiles of almost all of their users, which can be very, very helpful when trying to find an audience for a particular type of music, let's say. The type of music that we play is, it's so niche-y that I haven't had a ton of choice but to actually seek out an audience rather than grow one organically. So, yeah, that sort of segues into the next point, which is its ad tools are great. They're still a great way to reach new fans. If used in conjunction with other techniques, it can be a huge boon for musicians. And I've sold more records through Facebook ads than anything else. So I'm just going through my outline here. I'll add in stuff along the way, but so building big numbers on a page. We don't exactly have big numbers, but we do have 21,000 likes, which is not insignificant. So here are the pros to doing that. It gives you a degree of social proof, which, if you've never heard this term before, it's just the idea that if a bunch of people are doing something, other people are more likely to do it too. If you scroll past some video in your feed, some sponsored ad or something, and it's got 300 to 1,000 likes versus one that's got 4, I mean, there's a chance you might stop and look or take it more seriously. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. It's just a sort of basic trait of human psychology, for better or worse. If you can grow those numbers organically, you're going to sell a ton of stuff. Kind of the example of doing things the right way from my hometown, Phoenix, is a band called Gatecreeper. They did everything correctly, so to speak, as far as marketing themselves well, branding themselves very specifically, and making sure that they got their music to the people who would spread it the furthest to a receptive audience. So they were able to go from playing local shows in Phoenix and Tucson with a self-recorded demo that I think was on tape to being signed to Relapse Records within less than 2 years, I think. Now, they play a very specific genre of metal with a large audience, or I mean not like mainstream levels of audience, but a big enough one that they can sustain a career. So they are currently playing festivals and touring the world and selling records and doing all the things that it seems like most people who play in bands would like to be doing. So I view doing things organically as the correct way. The unfortunate thing for a lot of bands is that they're not able to do it like that. My band is not one of the bands that can do that sort of thing, and it's for a lot of reasons. But I think the core of the issue is that the type of music we play is it's just a little too weird for most people. So there's a handful of people who, when they find us, they think it's awesome, and they become pretty dedicated fans, and they come see us and they buy stuff, but finding those people is more difficult because it takes some weird combinations of interests to actually pinpoint who's going to like us and who's going to hear one of our songs and think this is terrible and never bother to look at us again, or who's going to see us play one show that was not our best live performance and write us off completely. I think that's the way that most people tend to work, unless there's some big degree of social proof, some sort of psychological trigger that will make people give you a second chance, or give you multiple chances, which is kind of, I think, what it takes to build a strong fan base, is somebody giving you multiple chances and multiple listens. So the caveat on doing things correctly is if you're in my situation where building it organically is not necessarily something that's in the cards, if you don't want to spend the next decade doing it, you'll still be able to sell stuff, you'll still be able to reach fans, you'll still be able to plan tours, but temper your expectations. This is not a strategy that alone is going to move you into rock stardom. At least it hasn't for me. So, one of the other, I guess, pros to this is its appearance and image management. If that's something that has any importance to you whatsoever, it doesn't necessarily have to, and I'm not picking a side on whether that's something that you need to do as a band or not. But if having a large number of likes and having that sort of status symbol is something you care about, then this will give you that. And the last point I've already said, this is building an organic following isn't possible for everyone for various reasons. So those are the pros to building big numbers the way that I'm going to talk about it. The cons are, so doing this the wrong way nearly tanked our page a few years ago. I bought likes, which was a mistake. It was a tempting thing to do. It was the way that it was advertised was that it was you can get X number of real likes for some amount of money, and I thought, oh well, that's a good thing, and I didn't necessarily know any better, and I went ahead and I did it, and our page really hasn't been the same since. I've been kind of playing catch up and trying to manage it, but there's only so much you can do. So the problem with buying likes or doing things through third party, which I strongly recommend you don't do ever, is that most of those are going to be fake accounts, and the ones that aren't fake accounts are never going to engage with your page. I don't know what the exact story is, but what it seems like is there are people in the world who are just paid to click on every sponsored story or like every page that comes through their feed, and they'll never look at your page again. They have, if you look at their profiles, they have nothing that would indicate that they'll ever actually be a fan. The interests are totally non sequitur, none of them mashed together in any coherent fashion. It's just page after page after page. So that's the problem with doing it that way. You can really, really hurt your page if you go about this the wrong way. even if you do this what I would call the second best way, which is through Facebook's ad tools, if you want to do it inexpensively, you're still going to run into the problem of having low engagement, even though you have high numbers of likes. And the other con, the last one, is you're kind of opening a Pandora's box as far as image management goes. If you build likes using Facebook's ad tools and you do it the inexpensive way, which I will still show you how to do, you're not going to get engagement. So if you want to have the engagement numbers that a page that has built that size of a following organically has, you will have to boost every single post that you want to hit those numbers. Typical Facebook engagement per post with organic likes is somewhere in the neighborhood of 1%. So 10,000 likes, 100 post engagements per post. Some of our content, we have, like I said, 21,000 likes, and some of our content gets no engagement whatsoever. Sometimes it'll get 10 likes, sometimes there'll be a fluke and it'll get a couple hundred organically. The rhyme and reason of it is sort of beyond me. I don't know what Facebook's algorithms are looking for in terms of what they push, but I think as a general rule, the lower engagement you have on a series of posts, the fewer of your fans they're going to show things to. And even if they are showing it to a larger number of your fans, if you have built up likes that aren't engaging with your content, it's not going to matter if they're shown it anyway, because they don't care. So there you go. There are your cons. So I don't see too much of a balanced view of doing things this way. It's mostly, you'll get a lot of people trying to sell you on, you can get 10,000 likes in a week or whatever. That's true, you can. I'm just saying, buyer beware when you're using this method. Alright, so I guess whether or not you actually want to do things this way is, it depends on your goals. Depends on what you want to do. So, having 10,000 plus fans on a Facebook page will make you appear legit to certain types of fans, and it may play a role in whether someone who finds you organically will engage with your content. So as I said in the last video, I'll just probably restate this in every video I make, my goal is to fill 500 person venues to capacity all over the US and the EU. That's my goal. That's like the big light at the end of the tunnel that I'm trying to reach and that I'm taking steps to get to. I don't know if this method is going to help achieve that particular stated goal, mostly because the first tour we're going to be taking, since I've started doing things this way, isn't until the end of September. It is the end of July 2018 right now. So, depending on when you see this, there may be other videos that will let you know whether this contributed or not. But in any case, like I said, just weigh the pros and cons before doing things this way. But if you are chomping at the bit to get a bunch of likes, here's how you do it. Alright, so this is Facebook Business Manager. I'm logged in as us. I'm not going to go over how to get a page set up on Business Manager. There's plenty of reading material on how to do that. So y'all can figure that out for yourself. But okay, so once you're in Business Manager, here's what you do. You click on this menu here, and you go to Ads Manager. This shows you all the ads you've ever done for any pages that you are running ads on one particular account for. So here are the ones I have active right now. I have one for Spotify. I have one for the show we're playing with Big Business in a few weeks. And then I have this promotional offer going for, it's a campaign that we're giving away vinyl to anyone who pays shipping. And we're charging $10 for shipping, which is, that's more than we need to cover media mail. It's not enough to cover the costs, but it is getting the music out to some people. So let me show you how to do the likes thing. All right, so building a bunch of likes for a relatively low amount of money. Here's what you do. Create an ad. You want engagement. You want page likes. And you want to name this something that you'll be able to keep track of. So for me, this is Oxford Coma high volume page likes. All right, click continue. Lovely. So if you have multiple pages through Business Manager, it will make you choose one. So, and it'll bring up all your various ad accounts here. I have a couple, so ignore those. There's ours. Okay, so this ad set name, they make you name a few things. It can be a little tricky to keep track of if you don't remember to name all these things. So I'm just going to name this the exact same thing. High volume page likes. Okay, so this is where we get into the actual meat and potatoes of this thing. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of this default location of the United States. So here's what we want to do. We want to go worldwide. Wonderful. So now what we actually want to do is we want to exclude, this is sort of the unintuitive part, we want to exclude all the highly competitive markets where the Facebook's bidding per result system is going to be the most expensive. This was the part that was novel to me when I learned it. So we want to exclude the United States. We want to exclude Canada. We want to exclude Australia, the United Kingdom, and then maybe some of the bigger markets in Europe like Germany. Let's exclude France. That's good for now. Okay, so we have essentially the entire world with the exception of these big countries, which is where everyone is clamoring to get an audience. So I know that for us, based on some other ads and some demographics I've gotten from other platforms, that our core audience is not as young as it has it said here. So typically we seem to appeal to the like 27 to 34 crowd. I'm going to leave it a little wider than that because we're trying to cast a pretty wide net with this particular strategy. We have about a 30-70 ratio of men to women. Our music is in English, so we're going to add that there, and then what we're going to do is we are going to, let's go ahead and get rid of this. We're going to put in some interests of bands that we sound like. So the obvious candidate for us is Tool, and we want to make sure that we're using Tool band, not whatever the other options are for that. And we just did an album with Steve Albini, so we want to make sure we get Nirvana on there because that's one of the bands he's very that he's pretty famous for having recorded. I've run some pretty successful campaigns based on just these two, and if you look at the size of the audience up here, it's 8.4 million. That's pretty large. So we'll just stick with that for now. I can add some other bands in here if I need to increase the size of the audience, like 9 Inch Nails. See if that adds anything. There's probably a lot of overlap. Nah, not really. Mastodon. All right, that's good enough. Yeah, we'll stick with that. Okay, and then I want to exclude people. We're trying to get new likes, so I want to exclude people who already like our page. I don't want to run this on automatic placements because I want to keep this as cheap as possible. So I want to have this only on Facebook. See if I can remember what. Okay. This is an interesting option right here if you have a slightly longer video and you want to make sure that people are probably going to watch more of it. You can have it display only to devices that are connected to Wi-Fi. We're not going to do that, but so here's the budgeting part. I'm going to keep it pretty low because I don't actually want to build too many more likes this way. So we're going to do a daily budget. You can also set a lifetime budget. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. I just have usually done it this way. You can determine whether you want to have an ongoing campaign or if you want to set a start and end date. So I don't want to run this for a long time. I just want to run this for like a week. So it's the 26th, so that's going to be the 2nd. Perfect. All right, so I have a daily budget of $10. I'm running this for a week. I have my placements set, so it's just on Facebook. I'm not going to have this on Instagram because I'm trying to get Facebook likes. I have excluded people who like the page. I have these as the interests, and I have the geographic set for worldwide, and I've excluded the major markets that are the most competitive. That will keep the cost per like significantly down. So once we get all that, we can go ahead and continue. I've had easily the most success with videos, so we're going to do a video ad. You want to make sure that you have, this is just something you have to do for everything. You want to make sure you have good content. So you want to have a video that starts with sound right away. You don't want to have a song with a long intro or a video that fades in from black or something. If you have one of those and you want to use it, it's fine, but I'd suggest editing it for the purpose of this so that it gets to the punch a bit quicker. So let's see. And all this stuff. All right, so we're going to use one of the more recent videos we did for one of the singles off the last album. So we're going to grab that. We're going to select it. And then we want to make sure it's got a good cover photo because that's going to be what people see as they're scrolling past it in their news feed. Okay, so I don't really like any of these. I'm going to see if I have the one I want from this video. There it is, that's the one. Actually, no, it isn't.
There it is. Perfect. All right, so now I've got this kind of bizarre, creepy cover photo. It's attention grabbing. This music video gets into the meat of things right away. And then we want to have some text that I hate to put it this way, but basically caters to the lowest common denominator. You have to tell people exactly what you want them to do. So this is sort of our generic description. It's got, we have new album featuring Sasha from Intronaut, and apparently it cut off recorded by Steve Albini, but that's not what we want to use anyway. So here we go. Let's go with something simple with instructions. Like and follow By the way, this is not my formula. This is, and I recommend checking out the guy's series. It does cost a little bit of money, but it was pretty useful as far as showing me how to do this. It's called Smart Music Business. The instructor is a guy named Chris Greenwood. So this is kind of his formula for writing taglines. So it's like and follow, name of band, If You Capital Love. The one I've had the most success with is Weird Heavy Music! Exclamation point. And then if you want to get fancy, you can put some emojis in there or whatever. It's not really my style, so okay. And that's really it. So we have our video, we have our copy, we have our instruction right here, and then all we need to do to get this thing going is click confirm. And voila, it is publishing. It's gonna review. Usually takes a little bit to get approved here. Sometimes it's a couple minutes, sometimes it's like an hour.